Love, not hate, makes America great.
United States of America is supposed to be a land of freedom and opportunity and democracy and rule of law. But the president's declaration last week of a fake national emergency threatens the rule of law and makes our country look more like a tin pot dictatorship than an actual republic.
This is what democracy looks like.
We're here to say, let's stop this ban. It's not going to fly.
Some voters in Randolph County, Georgia, are outraged because the Board of Elections is trying to close 7 of its 9 voting precincts. Randolph County is 60% African American, and many voters do not have transportation.
Jim, I've got a copy here of about 20-something pages of a letter the ACLU of Georgia sent to the Randolph County Board of Elections and Registration. And in this letter, it's basically hinting the ACLU of Georgia believes the proposal by the Board of Elections and Registration would make it harder for African Americans in that county to vote.
Victory this morning for the citizens of Randolph County. The Board of Elections has voted down the plan to close 7 of 9 precincts. We've been seeing, particularly in the last 18 months, has just been relentless voter suppression.
When the county government heard that the bus was on its way over with all these older black folks from the senior center, the county government called that senior center and said, don't let them come. And they took them off the bus, and they wouldn't let them go.
We've seen poll closings with problems most recently with absentee ballots. And then there's also been the threat of this new exact match.
Under current law, the state can reject absentee ballots if the voter's signature doesn't match the one on file. Well, this morning, attorneys for the ACLU argued in court that signatures may change for a variety of reasons, like age, disability, or injury. They also argued voters should have an opportunity to dispute any findings of mismatched signatures.
Smart Justice Georgia is a state campaign focusing on decriminalizing marijuana, ending abusive police practices, and stopping the way people of color are treated by the system in Georgia.
I was lost in the system. Matter of fact, I never would have got out if they hadn't, Black Mama Bill, I hadn't come and got me because they lost me in the system. They had thrown my case out.
When you are talking about poor people who are being unfairly incarcerated, it may be anyone in our community who's living and walking in the margins. And so this is important to all of us. It's important to our communities. It's especially important to our families.
The ACLU of Georgia has filed a class action lawsuit against the Georgia Department of Corrections and other state agencies on behalf of deaf and hard of hearing inmates and ex-cons. Jerry is one of the plaintiffs.
He was thrown into solitary confinement for almost a week because he allegedly committed a disciplinary infraction. But at the disciplinary hearing, he wasn't even given the tools to even defend himself. He couldn't even understand what was going on because there was no sign language interpreter.
Our son, it was a miracle for him.
Matthew and Susanna Brill say their 15-year-old son David went from having up to 10 seizures a day to being seizure-free for 71 days after he began smoking marijuana. The Brills were charged with reckless conduct after someone alerted the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services. On April 20th, David was removed from the Brills' custody. That day, he had a seizure and had to be rushed to a hospital.
Governor Brian Kemp has officially signed a medical marijuana bill into law. It allows for the in-state production and sale of low-potency medical marijuana oil. Now, that allows parents to legally obtain the oil.
In Georgia, the governor is poised to sign one of the most restrictive anti-abortion laws in the country. State lawmakers narrowly passed a measure Friday that would outlaw most abortions once a heartbeat can be detected in the embryo. The ACLU says it will sue to block the legislation.
We will see you in court, yes. Governor Kemp. We are preparing with our local attorneys, with our national attorneys, with our coalition partners, a comprehensive challenge to the many ways that this bill is unconstitutional and violates the fundamental constitutional rights of women in this country. 97% of those in the Senate who voted for this bill were male legislators. In the House, 85% of those who voted for this bill were male legislators. So clearly we need more women in our Georgia legislature. The ACLU of Georgia We stand with you in the fight against discrimination, the fight for freedom of expression. Yes, we want everyone across the state of Georgia to be free to be who they are.
In Cobb, Fulton, DeKalb, and Gwinnett counties, they all get an F on their performance in the 2018 election.
The counties that we are suing are run by both Democrats and Republicans, and both parties have failed to protect the sacred and constitutional right to vote for all citizens.
Thank you, ACLU.